tonight, floodwaters cuts off major links in the Western Division. Be wary of former politicians, Prime Minister warns. And FNPF to conduct public forums again. Heavy rain in the Western Division over the last 48 hours has seen a lot of flooding in low-lying areas. As a result, road access to quite a few places has been cut off. Bulletin was at Rakiraki Town this morning and filed this report.
This is a diverted access road that links the King's Road to Rakiraki Town and the rest of the Western Division if you are travelling from Korobo. It has been in use following the close of the Rakiraki Village Bridge some months back. This morning, this stretch has been closed to all traffic following the heavy downpour overnight.
I lived at work at my workplace this morning around about 6:30, and I reached this place. It's this stretch is full. It's flooded, and it's on my knees. And I reached the first culvert, and the second one. It's right up to my waist.
All bus services scheduled for Suva and the nearby settlements in Ra have ceased, awaiting the water to recede. Many who have come with their produce to nearby municipal markets to gain from the festive season have been stuck at Rakiraki village before all is clear.
And I reached the other side of the village, my village, the Rakiraki village. There's a bus and the trucks, they're still there. And the people, they come to town for the marketing. They're still at the village now.
As the low tide sees the quick receding of water at this crucial crossing, the main concerns for motorists and those living in this cane farming community is the high tide coming back in the next few hours and the continued rains in the mountains.
I came in the morning, it's getting a low tide. But people say it's a high tide because when this place is going high tide, it's very dangerous. That's the water gonna get a level of the water goes up.
Meanwhile, in a statement issued earlier today, the National Disaster Office says the flood warning in the last 24 hours all around the country remains in force. In particular, the infamous Levu River in Nandi and other low-lying areas downstream of the Toko Station and Nandi Town have been put on alert.
Authorities are calling on members of the public to be more vigilant and take the necessary precautions to avoid crossing flooded streams, rivers and roads like this as we brace for more wet weather in the coming days. For Fiji One News here in Rakiraki, I'm Bulletin.
Meanwhile, the National Disaster Management Office has reiterated that a flood warning remains in force for the Nandi River and low-lying areas adjacent to it. An advisory issued today states that a flood warning remains in force for Levu River and all the low-lying areas downstream of Toko Station to Nandi Town. A flood warning is also in force for low-lying areas along Mulu River to Nandi Town and all minor rivers, streams and low-lying areas west of the line joining Rakiraki to Singatoka. Members of the public have been advised to exercise caution during this period of low pressure. Parents and guardians have been reminded to monitor their children. A flood warning is also in force for low-lying areas from Nayavu Station down the Wainimbuka River. Members of the public in these areas have been requested to secure all belongings and property. A 22-year-old woman has been charged in relation to the murder of a woman and her baby at a settlement in Visese Lotoka on Wednesday. Police spokesperson Ana Naisoro said the suspect faces 2 counts of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. She will appear in the Lotoka Magistrates Court tomorrow morning. Dead are a 33-year-old woman and her 7-month-old baby. Another 3 children remain in critical condition in hospital. Prime Minister Komodo Vorengi Bainimarama has once again warned soldiers to steer well clear of what he describes as former politicians with old agendas. That was one of the key messages he delivered as he addressed members of the Republic of Fiji military forces at a special military Christmas service this morning at the Queen Elizabeth Barracks. As Api Salome Rambo reports, the Prime Minister also brushed aside talk of any return of the former Great Council of Chiefs as well.
Touching on a number of issues that are central to the government of the day, a few in particular have been bothering the Prime Minister, and he used this opportunity to get them off his chest. According to Commodore Bainimarama, these are not new political views. However, he warned the soldiers not to be drawn in these sorts of divisive political views. Bainimarama adds the 2013 constitution was meant to totally defeat these discriminatory attitudes. That also meant doing away with one of the country's respected and oldest Itauke institution. The commander also explained the reason behind dismantling the once revered institution. The Prime Minister also highlighted the importance of the media's role. Apisolo Merambo, Fiji One News.
Members of the RFMF have also been strongly urged to familiarize themselves with the 2013 Constitution. They were told that as guardians of national security, it was their duty to know the supreme law of the land and also take ownership.
Ushering in the festive season with a special military Christmas service. As these officers waited for the arrival of the commander, it was more tense as they reflected on what has been a rather busy year. And when the moment arrived, the Prime Minister did not mince his words. According to the Prime Minister, it all goes back to the 2000 mutiny, when the Fiji military forces stepped in to solve the socio-political unrest prevalent at that time. It was also a moment of reflection, as Commodore Bainimarama reminded soldiers of the sacrifice made by their colleagues some 13 years ago. With this being his final few months as military commander, he reiterated the importance of maintaining the values that have made the military what it is today. Apisolo Merambo, Fiji One News.
A new batch of recruits joined the Fiji police force today. After completing months of basic recruitment training, they were reminded about the challenges that lay ahead, especially with elections looming. Halitesh Dutt with the story.
It's the beginning of a new life for these 110 new recruits of the Fiji Police Force. After undergoing 6 months of basic policing training, they are now ready to serve the people.
We have trained them to the best that we can at this moment in time. And we know that they can perform well out there.
2014 will certainly be a crucial year for the force, especially with the general elections earmarked for September. The only expectations for them to perform well during our transition into democracy.
We expect them to perform well out there because of the knowledge that they have attained during the 6 months training. We have reverted back to 6 months now. It was 4 months and then now 6 months.
The messages to these officers were also clear if they are to ensure people feel secure enough to trust them.
Working with integrity, honesty, these are some of the things, the seeds that we try to plant in them. Because when they go out, they need to be up at that level, the part that we need them to perform out in the community.
The force is also expected to recruit 150 more officers in January. Haliteshta, Fiji One News.
The future of our police officers on peacekeeping duties in Sudan now hangs in the balance. The civil unrest that's currently taking place following an attempted coup earlier this week has been cause for concern. The crisis also serves as a warning to those who will be replacing the batch that are currently in Sudan, specifically in terms of physical and peacekeeping skills preparations. Government has intervened in the now controversial foreshore development works in Lami. Ratusela Navono is now believed to no longer be the Chief Executive Officer of the Lami Town Council. According to the Attorney General Ayaz Sayed Qayyum, proper procedures need to be followed when dealing with the environment.
There were other procedures that weren't followed, namely that there was no environmental impact assessment carried out, which is obviously crucial. So subsequent to finding this out, we had asked the Ministry of Environment, Department of Environment, to put in place the various processes that need to be put in place.
Concerns had been raised by residents about the potential impact of the development works. Government intervened following a meeting between all stakeholders, including the developers, residents and the Lami Town Council.
To ensure that any structure or any work that's carried out adheres to all the laws that are in place.
Ahead in the news, early payout for pensioners. And Digicel spreads Christmas cheer. Welcome back. The Superannuation Fund will once again hold a public forum from January next year. Past forums have been hailed a success. It provided an opportunity for members to be enlightened on the Fiji National Provident Fund's operations. Halitesh Dutt with the story.
The Fiji National Provident Fund will start the forum from the third week of January, beginning from Lambasa. The fund's performance will be presented at these forums, but mostly it will be about how their money has been managed.
This is under the new decree, and this is, the first time. This is the second year that we are doing that in the history of FNPF. This is like an annual general meeting in a company.
The last forum was hailed as a success where people voiced their individual concerns. FNPF hopes the next forum would be equally productive.
Most of them are their own individual issues. For instance, in terms of withdrawals. Certain amounts that they believe that should be much higher than what they're given. Turnaround time in terms of some of the withdrawals. Issues on investments in Natandola and Momi.
It will also be an opportunity for the public to get an update on the reforms carried out by the fund.
You come on the members forum, so we'll tell you more in terms of how we fare in the reform in the last 3 years.
After Lambasa, the forum will be held at the other parts of the country. Halitesh Dutt, Fiji One News.
Meanwhile, there's also some good news for pensioners. The pension payout that was initially supposed to be made on the 28th of this month was paid out today. Those who don't get theirs today can expect their pension on Monday. FNPF Chief Executive Aisake Taito says this is done so that pensioners have a reason to celebrate this festive season.
Like any other, organizations, we would like to
bring tears to our valued members, and for this case, we are allowing our valued pensioners to enjoy Christmas with their loved ones, and that's the reasons why we are bringing their payments forward.
Meanwhile, pensioners have until tomorrow to submit their valid renewal certificates. Failure to do so will result in non-payment of pensions.
Yes, so which means they don't get their payment on time, but they submit their renewal certificate later, and will process it later at a later date.
The high incidence of dengue fever cases in the Central Division has prompted the Health Ministry to embark on an insecticide spraying exercise. Cases of dengue fever have been reported mostly within the urban and suburban localities of Suva, Rewa and Serua Namosi health boundaries. The Health Ministry is working with the respective municipal councils on this exercise. The spraying started today from 6 to 10 this morning and again from 6 to 9 in the evening in the following areas. The Health Ministry has reiterated the need for people to seek early medical intervention. The National Fire Authority welcomed 30 new recruits into their fold yesterday. Their main quest now is to ensure the safety of the general public in terms of fire prevention.
Yesterday marked an important date for the country's National Fire Authority. 30 young men and women graduated in front of family and friends at the Tongalevu Naval Base outside of Suva.
The firefighting service is an important agency in our country. You are in the business of protecting properties and saving lives. A firefighting career is one of service. With service comes sacrifice, commitment, and diligence.
The 8-week training program culminated yesterday with this graduation. The new recruits are now equipped with proper skills to face whatever challenges they encounter.
You will be challenged to go the extra mile at the expense of self. I encourage you, the 30 graduates this afternoon, to be consistent in your effort to uphold the ethos and values of the National Fire Authority.
History was also made yesterday with NFA having their first female of Indian descent graduating as well. Also, for the first time, NFA will have graduates of Chinese and Rambi descent among their ranks.
The contribution of the National Fire Authority towards our national economic prosperity is invaluable. The proactive posture of awareness that the National Fire Authority is asked to play, and the demand for swift, timely response to emergencies to save property and lives, are operations that add value to our nation.
Out of more than 600 applicants, only 30 were chosen. 2 of them were women. Reviver for all, Fiji One News.
Our Fisheries Department today got a timely boost from the Embassy of South Korea. A grant handover valued at $14,500 worth of office equipment from computers to IT accessories should help it improve its services.
Today's donation is our small expression of our government commitment to building up friendly and constructive engagement with Fiji.
This is the second donation by the Korean Embassy. Last year, a car was donated. The supplies will be dispersed amongst the various fishery stations around the country. The donation is a testament of the close ties the two countries have shared over the past 40 years.
Has benefited the department to enormously improve service deliveries to the fishing communities in Fiji, and moreover is the gesture to sustain mutually beneficial relationship together with strengthening our country's broad cooperation.
As part of its corporate responsibility, Digicel Fiji was spreading some Christmas cheer today. The group visited orphanages in the Central Division and the Senior Citizens Home in Samambula. They've planned similar visits in the Western Division and will be at the Lambasa Children's Hospital on Monday.
In this festive season, it's all about giving back, and that's what we have been doing. We've been going around giving food items, goodies, cookies, lollies, and other stuff, cakes and all, and just wanting to be part of this Christmas fever.
The Samambula home residents were pleasantly surprised with the visit. They were grateful for the support from the various organizations and the general public who have been visiting them during this festive season.
All throughout the week we've been receiving donations from all sorts of organizations and business bodies. Yes, especially the residents. They've been happy all throughout the week.
We've got regional news coming up straight after this. Survivors of the ill-fated MV Francis Garena in the Solomon Islands have now revealed that most of the crewmen on board the vessel were drunk before the ship's departure from Honiara. The vessel was carrying more than 300 passengers and cargo beyond its loading capacity at the time. It sank 8 miles north of Anuha Island in the Central Islands province. It was on its way to North Malaita. Fortunately, no one was killed. Kensington Palace has confirmed that the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge will tour New Zealand and Australia in April next year, most likely accompanied by Prince George. The visit, rumoured for several months, will be the first New Zealand and Australian tour for Kate Middleton. It's expected the couple will bring their son, Prince George, Royal Central has reported. He will be 9 months old and it will be the first time he has left England. Prince William and Kate will spend between a week and 10 days on official engagements in both countries, beginning in New Zealand. But with rest days and travel, the entire trip will take the best part of a month, UK newspaper The Express reports. Prince George is unlikely to accompany them on most of their public duties, but aides anticipate there will be occasions in both countries when the infant will appear before the cameras. Kensington Palace said details of the itinerary exact dates will be issued in due course. Prime Minister John Key this morning confirmed the visit in April, saying he was delighted by the news. And remember, you can view tonight's Fiji One News Bulletin on our website at www.fijione.tv. And you can also watch previous news bulletins as well as our current affairs, business and sports shows. The Reserve Bank has made 2 senior executive appointments. Kera banker Lorraine Sito is now the RBF's chief manager for the Risk Management and Communications Group. This is a new initiative of the bank, which was approved to be implemented in line with the strategic plan for 2014 to 2018. Sito has been with the central bank now for 32 years. Also appointed is Vili Mainandakai as the RBF's new Chief Manager Financial Institutions. She was formerly the bank's Manager Financial Systems Policy. The South Pacific Stock Exchange today placed a trading halt on Pacific Green Industries Limited shares. The SPSC says this happened under Section 7.5 of the SPSC listing rules. This happens in the event of the release of any price-sensitive information that may affect the market value of shares. SPSC is now seeking clarification from PGI. SPSC Chief Executive Janita Prasad says for the maintenance of an orderly market, especially where price-sensitive information is involved, the stock exchange believes that a trading halt should be imposed on PGI shares immediately. That's until the company formally responds to SPSC's inquiries regarding the matter. But she adds the halt in trading will be lifted as soon as the company addresses queries raised by the SPSC. Andrew's next with sports, and former athletics president speaks out.
Yes, Kurt, Albert Miller has finally broken his silence since being removed from his post. That's coming up. And also in sport, early Christmas for young ruggers. And Fiji outclasses Aussies in the hockey clash.